Views are controversial. Some developers use views throughout the database. Other developers simply hate using views. I think views are useful when they are simplifying ad hoc queries for end users, but I avoid using views as a building block for your application or database. So I recommend using views to denormalize or flatten complex joins, simplifying aggregate queries, and creating useful assembly blocks for users to use for their own ad hoc queries to hide the complexity of the database from them. A view is really nothing more than a saved SQL statement. There's no data that's actually stored or materialized for a view. You can think of it in terms of a saved subquery that you can use wherever you want to as part of an overall select statement. So to create the view, you simply use the create view command, create being one of the DDL commands, data definition language command. There's create, alter, and drop. In this example, using the CHA2 database, and we'll give us a little more room. Here's a complex select statement. It's pulling several different columns from tour, event, event customer, customer, doing an outer join to customer type, and then also looking at the base camp. So if we execute this select statement, we get back 107 rows, and it pulls together and flattens the data from several different relational normalized tables. Because it includes inner joins and outer joins and so many tables, I would not expect the average end user to be able to assemble this query correctly. Even if they got close, the chance they might get the wrong data because they don't have the inner joins and outer joins correct is pretty high. So this is a perfect place to make a view. So here's the command create view and the name of the view as, and then all of the select statement. If this is part of a larger batch, we need some kind of go here so that it ends that batch. Now it's created. If we go over to the Object Explorer, open up the CHA2 database, look at the views, do a refresh. Here's the view we just created, vEventList. If we say Open View, and there's the result. And this is simply the result pane. If we open up the SQL, you'll notice that it didn't actually execute the view. It created a SQL statement of select asterisk or all columns from vEventList. When parsing this select statement, SQL Server will look at vEventList and then replace vEventList with the entire select statement that comprises the view. You can also create views inside of Object Explorer by saying Views, New View, and we'll pick a few of these. Once you hit Save, it asks you for the name of the view, and it would then create that view as an object in the database. Personally, I prefer to create objects using scripts that are repeatable and can be saved as source files rather than using the GUI, but you can use either way. I've seen databases where there were hundreds of views, and each view was hard-coded for some particular answer someone was looking for. I would recommend keeping views somewhat generic. For example, this vEventList simply assembles together all the information we need to look at events. And then when you select the view, add a where clause to answer a specific question. Such as this example where the select statement is pulling from the view and then restricting the output to a particular code. Another point to be aware of is that it's not a good practice to include an order by inside of a view. This is because it would force SQL Server to put the rows in a sorted order, which may then have to be placed in a different sorted order if the outer query is also using a different order by, or that view is being used as part of a join in the outer calling query. So order by is not allowed inside of a view. An exception is that you are allowed to use an order by if the view is referencing a top. For example, if it is saying select top 10 from a certain set of tables, you can then place an order by because without the order by, the top would be meaningless. In SQL Server 2000, you could exploit that by saying select top 100% and put an order by, and it would work. But in SQL Server 2005, that trick has been disabled, and I think that's a good idea. I'm glad it's turned off. So if you do want to sort the results of a view, the best practice is to say select from that view and then put the order by in the calling query. A couple other restrictions about views just to mention is that you cannot do select into, which we haven't talked about yet. That's part of data modification. And a view cannot refer to a temporary table, which we'll talk about in the T-SQL programming lesson.